Boy, I bet we could have a really good party in this room, huh, hon?
I'm afraid you're not going to do too well unless you brought your own supplies. We always remove all the booze from the premises when we shut down. That reduces the insurance that we normally have to carry.
We don't drink.
Well then, you're in luck.
It's a Halloween morning with the Barbershop Duet.
Hi, I'm Marcus Klinger with Klinger Vocal Studio.
And I'm Sarah Vincent with Sarah Vincent Virtual Pilates.
But on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
We are the Barbershop Duet.
Hey, y'all, come on in. Thank you for finding our little barbershop. If you happen to be here during one of the live premieres on YouTube, why, come on in the live chat and meet the Whiff Pack, a cool group of friends hanging out from all over the world. They'd love to meet you too.
They would. And for our mention today, we wanted to talk about this Duet scent, Smoked Hotness, which is inspired by Smoking Hot by Killian. Here are the scent notes: apple hookah flavor, cinnamon, smoke, tobacco absolute, oak moss, bourbon vanilla pure jungle essence, and orchinox.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I bought this for the pure jungle essence, but y'all, the hookah smoke is amazing. I don't know how, but this has completely recaptured the scent of my cousin's car in 1989, and I don't know how.
It's a super fun dry scent, like the way that the hookah uses the apple with the cinnamon and the absolute, like those spices somehow just have a depth to them that I was not expecting.
It just defines sweet and dirty for me, and I love what they do at Killian, and I'm excited because today's soap is an homage to a beloved Killian scent that we have never experienced. Let's meet it. All right, y'all, constant viewers will know that I have a special place in my heart for the movie The Shining. The son of a funeral director, I watch it for fun. So I think it's absolutely inspired and hilarious that First Line Shave has created an homage to The Shining that is also an homage to a single malt whiskey from the sales page at firstlineshave.com.
Introducing Room 237 Shave Soap, where elegance meets intrigue. Step into the mysterious world of Room 237, inspired by the iconic movie The Shining, as we bring you an extraordinary shaving experience like no other. Picture yourself standing in the dimly lit hallway, where the palpable air of elegance mingles with an undercurrent of enigma. Our Shave Soap and Aftershave collection invites you to embrace this captivating atmosphere, exuding sophistication with a hint of intrigue.
Crafted meticulously with the highest quality ingredients, this luxurious shaving soap creates an indulgent lather that envelops your skin, ensuring a smooth and comfortable shave. As the rich foam encompasses your face, the haunting essence of Room 237 permeates the air, heightening your senses, adding a touch of mystique to your grooming ritual.
The fragrance composition dances between the amazing smell of a 20-year-aged single malt at the opening, evoking a sense of timeless elegance, and whispers of warm vanilla reminiscent of inviting whispers in the shadows. The aroma lingers, leaving you captivated by its enigmatic allure long after you've finished your shave.
Take a moment to relish in this aromatic ambiance that unfolds with each stroke of your razor. As the scent envelops you, it whispers of the twin girls that once stood in the hauntingly beautiful hallway. A sophisticated blend of drunken plum and a subtle dry down lingering from oak barrels intertwine, creating an olfactory symphony that embraces your senses, reminding you of the enduring allure of The Shining.
The fragrance is inspired by Killian's single malt, which captures the unique aroma of a well-aged barrel-reserved single malt. An instant shot of ripe plum immediately gives the initial boozy aroma of the whiskey that is followed by a wheat accord and embedded with Toulouse balsam and a sensually warm vanilla.
Please note, Room 237 draws inspiration from The Shining, is not affiliated or endorsed by Warner Brothers Entertainment Incorporated or the creators of The Shining. All right, why don't you come along with us to the Overlook? We're going to open the elevator. Last Halloween, Foxy Matt said to make sure we covered this. It was one of his favorites, and it was sold out. So we bought this back in April to make sure we were going to get it for this Halloween month. And there's a note from Gareth. Thanks, Marcus and Sarah. Much love from SoCal. Aww, thanks, buddy. And
we've been waiting for this.
They are peeking out the two twin girls from The Shining. Well, y'all, why don't you come along with us? We're going to take a peek into Room 237 and see what we can find. It is true, Sarah and I don't drink, but back in the days when I was the CFO of my dad's funeral home, I was a single malt man. Glenfiddich, 12 years old. So I'm excited that while I can't exactly imbibe anymore in the actual liquid, I can smell this whenever I want. All right, here we go.
Long awaited, y'all.
Taking it in. I feel like I'm at the bar with Mr. Grady. All right, here we go. All right, y'all. I was wondering whether this was going to be a realistic whiskey or if this is going to be an artist impression. Lots of nooks and crannies to discover, lots of different scents to build up the idea of whiskey, and I am happy to report it is the second one. This is lovely and funny. I know we read plum, but I am not hit over the head with it. This is a fabulous balance of the idea of that true whiskey. Okay. Just a lot more imagination and spookiness surrounding it. Ooh, hold on. Oh, y'all, this is fabulous. I would say this is more library than whiskey because I am picturing myself in the New York Public Library at the beginning of Ghostbusters. Lots of beautiful mahogany chairs and tables, lots of leather. Oh, it's whiskey deconstructed. The wheat accord is on the outside, draws you into the plum and the fruits on the inside. What an imaginative take on whiskey. And the plum and wheat accord are coming together to give a sense of parchment, like I'm writing something ancient with a feather at this library with my sweaty whiskey next to me. And sometimes with our more drinky scents, I almost get like an alcohol-y, fiery sense of the actual hit of the ethanol, but I'm not getting that here. This is a vibe. This is a place. They've just broken this whiskey completely open. The oak is the base that this is sitting on. Beautiful, spicy, peppery. And there's one last little thing in here that's wedging its way in between the plum and the wheat that's telling me this is whiskey. But I got to figure out what it is. Maybe a grass or an herb or something like that. But again, y'all, this is a precarious and gorgeous balance. It doesn't go leathery. It doesn't go tobacco-y, which sometimes when these scents come together, it kind of hints at that for me. But no, this has a very narrow lane. Just the way it explores it is incredible.
So how's the plum working in there?
It's prominent. It's in the middle, but it's standing in for like the leather-bound books that I'm sensing in this beautiful place. That's what it's doing. It's very dry, very masculine. This doesn't go crazy sweet, which is funny because sometimes whiskey can. No, it goes dapper. It goes charming. It goes warm. This is one of the warmest scents we've got. The anti-menthol, y'all. And just to paint a picture, the other whiskey scents that we have, I'm thinking Bluegrass Muse kind of a thing, go very much in the dry, grassy, herby direction. This goes in more of the dessert kind of sensey, gourmandy direction.
So this is leaning more into the evening type of a drink versus midday kind of thing?
100%. I've got a little dessert next to my whiskey on the table in front of me. And distant cousins to Koyos. If you know that one, the plum is similar. A little bit of those dark nooks and crannies are similar. Yeah, the plum's being used delicately, the same way as NYC Odyssey or Gentleman's Study from Macduff's. Almost mouth-watering, but doesn't cross that line into the gourmands. The plum is not the gourmandy part of this. I just love how warm and sweet this goes. I feel like I'm getting found in the snow by a Saint Bernard with a big barrel around his neck. You know what I mean? Turns out that doesn't actually work. Again, cartoons have incredibly misinformed us, y'all. It's perfect. Even if you do the longest whiff of your life, it starts right before the burn of the whiskey would start to kick in. And I would like my twin to take a schnozzful of this and see what she gets. I adore this thing. You were right, Foxy.
Ooh, look at the dark pour, y'all.
Vanilla might be in there. Just saying. Just saying. For a little bit of the sweets.
I don't know why I was picturing it being a little more like an old-fashioned, like something older was happening, but there's something very current about this. It does have the Killian kind of a cologne hit, but I don't feel like it's as old as I was expecting, if that makes sense, because we were talking about the way the whiskey was made. I just was expecting this like age tone to hit. I mean, it's definitely dark. There's definitely spices that need time to get into this whiff, but it does have a very current kind of vibe. Not like you're walking into a super old hotel. It could be a very new one.
She was picturing John Lithgow and got Timothy Chalamet.
I don't know if I would know that this was based off of a single malt whiskey.
Right. It doesn't smell like the whiskey in the glass for me. It smells like the vibe of hanging out with my dad and my uncles for an evening, all enjoying a little bit of a scotch together.
You know, it's really pretty in the middle where the plum side, I don't know if I would have known right away it was plum, but I would have gotten like a sweeter dried fruit kind of thing. Doesn't go gourmandy, but just enough to kind of make me feel like I have a little smile on my face. And then that jumps into the spices. And I think that's where they're kind of hinting at more of the barrels that have the spices in them, the oak barrels, like that aged kind of side. Because it doesn't go cinnamony or something like that, but you can tell like the wood has had some time kind of brewing in its own little spices. So I think that's why you're taking you to like a library. I'm definitely getting like more the character of the place that we're at. It does have that transportive kind of thing. But let me tell you, if I didn't know any of the scariness that's connected to the Shining's hotel, I would smell like a place that's super intriguing that I would want to go hang out in. So maybe that's the point of this? I don't know. It just smells way more fun and warm and cozy than I would picture that hotel. It kind of has the Wendy personality from the very beginning where she's super excited, looking around, like wants to go check everything out, thinks it's the coolest place that all these famous people have stayed there, not the Wendy at the end.
Right. Stephen King himself was not a giant fan of that movie because Kubrick had taken it into some rather crazy directions. And if you've ever seen the documentary, Room 237, you know what some of those are. So he commissioned a 4-hour miniseries with an entirely new cast and director years later and remade it. But I've never seen it.
But you've read the book. He probably knows every line of the movie.
The movie's just so good. Well, I know.
We watched Pet Sematary too. We watched some of the other Halloween ones.
I read that book. That's a great book.
That middle part has a fun sweetness going on that I really think I would wear. I know you said it was more masculine, but I don't really know whiskey that well, so my brain goes in with the plum, like the dried sweetness, hits the vanilla-ish, and then it goes into all of the spices that totally hit me for the fall zone. So I would definitely wear this. I think even the plum almost comes off as like a deep apple-ish kind of vibe, or my brain's kind of putting it in there with it, but I would wear it because of that side of the scent.
You know how there's just something classic about an elegant lady in a cocktail dress with a cigar in one hand and a whiskey in the other? That's what this makes me think of. Well, that's you anyway.
It has a richness to it that I'm trying to figure out how to explain, because I think my brain wants to say, but it's a deep, dark scent, but it's not. There's parts of it that are super light and bright, like the sun is still out a little to me.
All right, y'all, come along with us. We're going to try to figure out why that Calamute cleanser is facing in that direction, and we're going to build you a lather. All right, y'all, the set notes for Killian Single Malt start with top notes of plum. That's funny. It doesn't start with whiskey or wheat or anything like that. Welcomes you in with that beautiful dry sense of the fruit. And then a middle note of wheat. This is new. Do we have anything else that has a wheat note?
No, and I even think we've done some stuff that are meant to be more like breads and things, and it doesn't have that scent note.
Well, new aroma molecules do get released by the big five houses all the time, so who knows? A lot of times perfumers can't wait for those new molecules to get released so they can try them out in new scents.
And then we have base notes of vanilla, Toulouse balsam, and cedar. So they don't even list the oak barrel necessarily.
No, we've got some Toulouse balsam over there. It is almost root beer-ish in how beautiful it sits in the spices and herbs. Yeah. I love the way it's being used in here. And the cedar wood, it's not oak.
I know, that's why I'm curious, unless that's the one little twist and spin that they did on it for the first line version.
Well, you know what? It's almost giving me a sense of oak when it's mixing with the plum. How are you getting that?
I'm with you. I'm still trying to figure out where the spices are coming from. Is that connected to the, like, vanilla meets the woodsy sides? Or is some magic with the maltiness?
Well,
I don't know.
Luckily, I can pretty much guarantee you that Killian probably put about 200 different scent notes, bases, things like that into the final formula. So we're basically just kind of getting a greatest hits of these scent notes. But y'all, we can guarantee you there is far more going on in here.
My nose really does get the plum kind of gentle, bright fruitiness thing that brings me in first. So the way that this is listed is kind of how I was getting it. It's funny because I think you were kind of coming at it from the base and working your way up with your way.
I think I was actually looking for whiskey, which as it turns out, it's not in here. And this is my special AKA brush and bowl made by Amelia and Gardner live on Instagram so I could watch. And these are our bougie sticks from Amazon. Oh, there's a lovely bite back to my stick. Some work's been done here. A close cousin to one of my absolute favorites from Killian, Angel's Share. Y'all, what a beautiful scent that is.
This one's a little spicier and warmer somehow.
Darker. Yeah. No cinnamon, as you observe.
Yeah.
Although something that hints at tobacco. I think they might have thrown a bit of tobacco in this.
Now that we're spreading that out, I'm with you. Those spices are coming alive.
Little bougie spray here from the Sean and Julie Memorial Sprayer. But you spread out your soap so thin, Marcus, you say. I know, because first what I want to do is move that soap onto my brush in case I want a face lather, in case I want a leg lather. And y'all, I just didn't like building my lathers with a lot of foam and froth. Those big bubbles that start at the beginning, I had a lot of trouble getting them to settle down again. So I realized, why don't we just start by making the tiniest bubbles that we can and then build out your lather from there. So look at this. First thing I do is just move all that soap onto this. See how the bristles are even a new color? So I can now take this to the face, to the legs, or back here to the bowl and start sopping up a little bit of that water at a time. Taking it back to the top. So now I'm just fleshing out that paste and I'm keeping those bubbles tiny bubbles. Grabbing at that water a little bit at a time. And then y'all look, this is how our lathers start.
It's still keeping like a caramely kind of color. Like something in here is definitely staying.
Beautiful. There's got to be a bit of a whiskey accord in this. There has to be.
It's just a little secret. They don't want to tell us.
See, and then it'll tell you if it needs a little bit more water. You don't have to make the bubbles small again. They start small, they stay small. Do the ghosts in The Shining ever actually supply Jack with alcohol? Does he get drunk or does he just go crazy?
I remember him sitting at the bar and he orders an actual drink.
Yeah, he gets drunk.
But they're not really there.
Is the alcohol real? I'm confused.
Is it all in his mind? We have questions.
How does Jack get out of the freezer? Can we start there? Can we start with the fact that the monsters kind of have to let Jack out of the freezer? They're real? And yo, I know we never talk about lather here at the Barbershop Duet, but look at the three-dimensional iridescence we've got going on that brush. I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but all work and no play make Jack... Every time I watch it, the Kubrick Native American theory gets a little bit more plausible in my mind. And this is something you will only find here at the Barbershop Duet. This is the how do you take your single malt neat or on the rocks with. On 3, 1, 2. See, just as I suspected, whiskey's a little better with a hit of water in it. Right, fellas?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Y'all, this is your pony. This is what your perfumer was intending. You got to add a little water to really judge the scent.
It somehow blended it better, but also spread it out, if that makes sense.
There is a certain charm that old cigars left in their plastic have. For me, there is something about the smell of that tobacco as it starts to age that brings out the spice, that brings out the sweetness. It's in cognac and Cuban cigars from Henry and Victoria. That, y'all, is deliciously in the center of this too. And those are the only two places I've ever found it.
Yeah, the best words that come to mind is like a spice, but I don't know how to break down which one, how it's working, so that's a good way to kind of paint the picture.
Y'all. So while we don't shave like Jack Torrance does, we do want you to see what this lather looks like when it coats and covers. Y'all, whenever I have a first line shave, I just remind myself that this is the absolute perfect consistency for just about any razor I've got.
It does have a great fall side to this. Like, I swear, I can see the leaves changing colors outside the window.
The most perfect autumnal scent in the world for me, y'all. And I love how dark and rich this gets because your nose is not afraid to follow it. We watched the first half of The Shining yesterday, and you know the part where Danny's on his big wheels on the carpet, and it's going bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Well, at the end, Wendy Carlos's music, when Jack is hunting Danny through the hedge maze, is doing exactly the same thing. It was foreshadowing! And speaking of the hedge maze, why don't you follow us? We're going to go a little bit deeper. Every once in a while, somebody will be like, hey, I've heard The Shining is supposed to, like, mess with your head. How does it do that? Well, one of the ways is when Jack first gets to the hotel, pay attention to the path he takes into the manager's office. You'll realize that that office is not anywhere near the outside of the building. So why is there a window to the outside in that office? And what's the red book on his desk about? They even say there's stuff about the moon landing hidden in The Shining. Danny's got that sweater on. Talks about the moon landing. Poor Shelley Duvall never recovered from that movie. Kubrick really put her through it. Ooh.
I think they do a good job of building up the idea of room 237. Like how he tells them, don't even go in there. There's nothing. And he just keeps going right by it like, oh, but I should. You know, that little kid part of him is so intrigued. But I think he learns his lesson pretty quickly.
Speaking of learning your lesson, in 1987 at Garrettson Middle School in Rodeo, California, if you were on the honor roll, do you know how they rewarded you? They made your parents sign a waiver and they showed you The Shining.
No way!
In 8th grade. That is the best example of a scary, pushy school administrator having a very bad idea and everybody else being too scared to tell him so.
Maybe they hadn't seen The Shining, so they're like, oh, it'll be fine.
Whole class had to go into therapy.
My mom would have rioted, just saying.
She was allowed to watch The Simpsons and they go to church. So it's pretty simple, y'all. Just be Tony, little boy who lives in Danny's mouth. And you're doing fine. You're having a great time living in Colorado. You just moved there. You've got a Bugs Bunny poster in your room. Just about the time your dad goes over to the Overlook and gets a brand new job, you're going to get your own. So head over to firstlineshave.com to find this and a ton of other cool stuff. Well, I've had my shave, y'all, with room 237, a perfect flanker to Koyos when I don't want to go quite so purple, I don't want to go quite so smoky, but I want to dive down into everything that makes whiskey spice without the whiskey, even hints for me of tobacco, a beautiful, deep, dark, rich autumnal that's going to define the season for me, and in one of the best bases in the business. Thank you, First Line Shave. We will be back. Welcome to Messages.
So for our November giveaway, we wanted to give you a chance to get $25 to Barrister and Man.
Yeah, y'all, and all you have to do to be eligible for this giveaway is send us an email here to we sent you at thebarbershopduet.com so we can get back to you, mention Barrister and Man, and then check back on our first December episode to see if it's you who are our lucky winner.
Best of luck. So was this worth waiting a year and a half to open?
I adore this, and let me tell you why. They didn't dive into the heart of the whiskey. They did it the hard way. They dove into the heart of the whiskey spice, and that is what this is an exploration of. It's why there's not even a whiskey note in it. It's everything you love about whiskey, everything the oak does to it, everything it does as it ferments in those barrels. And I think this might be my favorite Halloween scent of 2025, and it got here right at the buzzer. I am going to really love this until it starts to warm up again.
It's interesting because this is way more crowd pleasing. I really went off this label. Somehow my spooky radar was going off, and I thought it was going to be a totally different type of twist on that scent. But no, there you go. It is a fun label, but it is not what the scent actually is. It's way more crowd pleasing, and I honestly think it is completely unisex. Like on you, it'll have different sides than on me, which always makes it feel like we got two soaps in one somehow.
Perfect analogy for the Overlook. Elegant, inviting, pristine. Just don't stay once it starts to snow.
Don't forget your next appointment with the Barbershop Duet.
You'll smell scarier just watching this.